Hey, you.
The dragons in Skyrim suck. What is your favorite boss fight? Is it Melania?
I am Germa. Sword of Edward. Hey!
Is it Psycho Mantis?
Now let me read your mind.
In a perfect world, men like me would not exist.
No, perhaps I should say your past.
But this is not a perfect world.
Or is it your stepdad, rolling drunk off of 12 Bush Light after losing another 2 shifts at the steel mill? Either way, I hope you learned their attack patterns. And either way, this video continues now. Because of all the boss fights in video game history, I will bet my most prized possession, the Bangladeshi kid writing these scripts for 20 Thai bahts a piece in my cupboard, that not a single one of you said Alduin, the final dragon boss of Skyrim. For some of you, it's because you never bothered finishing Skyrim. I sympathize. Every single side quest, fetch quest and Lover's Lab modded interaction is better than the botched main quest of Skyrim. For others, it's because you didn't play Skyrim at all. I envy you. I hate that I love the scuffed nature of Skyrim and its massive modding scene. And I wish that culturally enriching the starving, desperate people of Skyrim with my Khajiit claws wasn't so fun. But ever since I was banned from Anthrocon following the swilling paring knife taped to my fingers incident, I have to take what I can get. Also, the loot definitely wasn't worth it. Finally, for the rest of you, it's because you actually played the entirety of Skyrim and defeated Alduin. No doubt finding the urge to fall asleep flat on your crusted keyboard a more challenging affair than the riveting last boss fight. Part of that is the non-factor of progressing through the stilted, shallow main quest that seems to have no effect on the world you inhabit. And another part is that the dragon fights themselves are unfathomably boring. Outside of your first few encounters, where the pure cinema of the dragons swooping overhead will blow you off your custom-made gaming chair, they still ultimately ended up becoming the worst of all gaming sins. A boring chore. Once the identical dragon attack patterns have been observed a half dozen times, and you realize that every other fast travel you do promises yet another exercise in biblical patience, the magic, much like the love between your girlfriend and you, is thoroughly gone. And because Alduin is mechanically just a reskinned dragon with a fancy meteor spell, his magic is also gone. Now, what exactly is a dragon fight in Skyrim for the uninitiated? And I mean dragon fight without spicy non-Nexus mods installed. This is every encounter, at least for us GigaChat melee enjoyers. The dragon makes itself known. The dragon circles overhead and strafes you like a stuka for a minute or so. The dragon lands, and you punch the dragon in its snout. Repeat ad nauseum for as many times as your difficulty level necessitates. Doesn't this sound like trying to swat a fly? Now, I don't know how big flies are where you people live in the global south, but the waiting, the annoyance, the repetitiveness, this is a battle against a fly. The dragons in Skyrim are actual flies. They are a nuisance. They are tedious. They are beyond monotonous. If you're ranged, and we're Skyrim players, of course every build we begin will soon degenerate into a stealth archer build. You do get the opportunity to impotently shoot a couple of projectiles into the air, like a Saudi Arabian celebrating the purchase of his 7th Mercedes-Benz S-Class while waiting for the grand mythical beast to land. During the main quest, you will get Dragon Rend, a shout that forces the dragons to land somewhere, hopefully within your current zip code, but that does require you to basically finish the main quest, which so you're forced to wait, to lay low like a World War I soldier in the trench, looking at a photo of what you hold dearest. Fundamentally, most people understand the overarching problem with anything combat in Skyrim, which is in fact its entire combat system. There's just not a whole lot to do. You punch, maybe you block, and subsequently health bars go down. Sometimes fast, sometimes agonizingly slow. There is no dodging, there is no timed parry system, there is no counter magic system, there is only punching and stealth punching. So it of course follows that any combat derivative of this system is going to be simplistic and boring, but dragons are a particular thorn up my tiny puckered bumhole. If I have to punch a wolf into a finely tanned piece of leather, fine. What? If I have to punch a filthy poop elf back to his homeland of Orsinium before it gets sacked and burned down for a 5th time, great. But what makes dragons so impressive at first is what will ultimately make them the most annoying later on. The flying, the strafing, the hiding. As an encounter, this requires 0 skill and 0 thoughts from the player. This is not a Souls-like encounter where dodging and jumping is crucial to staying alive. Find a rock or an alcove of some kind and hunker down until the dragon either decides to land, in which case punch it, or it decides to piss off and bother some bandits half a map away. Sure, being a ranged character would marginally make this more interesting, and I use that word very loosely. But once again, what exactly are you doing now? Are you aiming for the dragon's wings to tear the flexible wing membrane and bring it crashing down? Are you using ice magic to freeze and encumber the dragon so heavily that it's forced to land? Do you use poisoned or envenomated projectiles to enfeeble the mighty lizard too much from taking off once you've baited it to land once? No, you don't do any of those things, unless you've got some mods for that, in which case, put their names down below. What you do is damage the dragon sufficiently enough for it to crash down or be unable to fly away again. It doesn't matter where you hit the dragon, with what you hit the dragon, and when you hit the dragon. It's all the same to its health bar. Headshot, wing shot, backshot. There are no weak points. There is no strategizing to disable flight for the benefit of us melee characters, or epic trickshot moment for archers to tear the dragon's wings and let it crash down to its fall damage death. There is nothing but reducing the health bar by the way of left clicking, and maybe putting up your shield if you're feeling fancy. The dragons are a worse enemy than wolves, trolls, or those filthy high elves, because the added mechanic of flight doesn't mean more difficult as such, nor more interesting outside of the first encounter, nor does it utilize the combat system. However much that combat system can be utilized, it's just more boring, more annoying, and looks more ridiculous when you observe fights between dragons and NPCs. And worst of all, it diminishes the dragons and ultimately Alduin's aura. This is total aura loss right here. Once you've killed your first few dragons, these beasts out of books of legend ceases to be these epic mythical monsters and become just yet another enemy. And why wouldn't they? Because you kill them in the exact same manner like you kill a rat or a crab or a rat. You can kill your first dragon within the first hour of the game. In fact, progression-wise, Todd Howard is probably expecting you to kill your first dragon within that hour, else you might lose your interest and play a far more interesting game like Starfield. But then, you kill that dragon with your rusty iron sword at the very earliest early game, and then what? All that aura you've built up with Alduin's assault, or rescue I suppose, is stripped away from the earliest get-go of the game, and it is only reinforced with the heavy respawn rate that dragons have in Skyrim. Todd Howard's spell is irreversibly broken. This is exactly what demystification is. The moment the grand, the mysterious, the downright ineffable becomes, well, effable. The legendary becomes simply mechanical. To take a slight genre U-turn, although the facial beauty of Skyrim certainly is a horror in of itself, what makes the Xenomorph such an effective movie and game monster, ignore alien colonial marines, is that the monster is kept mostly off-screen. The grand, whether that be grand in the sense of epicness like dragons should be, or grand in the sense of straight up doo-doo in my pants at the sheer horror of the motion tracker going off derives its power from what we imagined them to be, not what they actually mechanically are. Skyrim knows that dragons should be epic. Any text about them or anyone talking about them makes that very clear. But when a dragon suddenly turns up, every rag-clad commoner in the same zip code as the legendary lizard will absolutely square up with their butter knife, pajamas, and sweet roll safely tucked away. There is no reconciling the mythology with the mechanical reality, and Alduin suffers the exact same fate, because outside of a contrived multi-part fight structure versus him as the final boss of Skyrim, you fight him in the exact same manner you fought potentially hundreds of other dragons before him. In fact, in Sovngarde, you don't even have to hit him yourself. The final boss! Mechanically, Alduin is the exact same dragon you've been swatting the last 50 hours of your game time. He's got a meteor shout, and that's about it. Alduin retains at least a modicum of mystique by the sheer feature of him not showing up until the very end. That mystique is then immediately broken once I simply punch his snout a couple of times in our first encounter, like I would any other mob, and then subsequently take my spot in the corner NTR chair for the final encounter to lean back and enjoy the show. I get that Bethesda doesn't make those types of games where boss fights are paramount and mechanically elevated beyond other regular enemies. But then, with respect to the massive amount of money they're shoveling in, and the fact that I'm just a random bum in a cul-de-sac in Denmark, stop hyping up your big bad antagonists to be anything more than a reskinned regular NPC. Skyrim, the game, needs dragons to be farmable content, repeatable encounters, level-appropriate challenges. And that moment where Todd chose to make dragons frequent and fair, they sacrificed what made them dragons at all. No more herald of the end times than a flying mudcrab would be. Sad.
Thank you. Now watch this dry.
Alright, that was a video. Thank you so much for watching this far. It means a lot when you're a teeny tiny little fish in a great big Mr. Beastified pond. If you like this video, why don't you check out my other video where I discuss who the most racist Nord is. Like and comment down below for my eyes to see and the algo to enjoy. Subscribe for more cromulent videos to come, and check out my support links in the description if you swing that way. Stay frosty.